What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Sunday, January 25th, 2026, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 13:32 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Iran, and also we have a major weather situation unfolding over the eastern half of the U.S. So it does look like the U.S. is getting ready to attack Iran. We have two aircraft carrier strike groups descending upon the Middle East. But before I get into the latest with Iran, I wanted to just update you on this massive blizzard that is striking the entire eastern half of the U.S. with 2 to 3 feet of snow across some of the most populated parts of the country, and insane amount of icing in some of the southern states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas. These states are not used to icing, and they're getting up to an inch of ice. And there's going to be Arctic air that's going to come in after this storm, and it's going to linger for several days at least. So what you're looking at here is the latest radar of this storm, and you can see basically the entire eastern half of the country being affected. Generally speaking, a widespread 1 to 3 feet of snow expected across the Midwest, the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the southern states are going to get more ice and more sleet, but they're still going to get, I think, up to 6 inches in some areas of the southern states, plus a ½ inch to an inch of ice, which is absolutely insane. And here you can actually see some lightning being reported here in southern Alabama, and they were talking about thunder ice in some of these places along the Gulf Coast. It's basically just an ice storm with thunder and lightning, which is totally insane. And what you're looking at here are all of the latest weather watches and warnings for the U.S. And you can see this massive area shaded in pink. These are all winter storm warnings. You can see the entire Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, much of the Midwest, the southern states, the Ozarks, all under a winter storm warning. And last night, this winter storm warning spread all the way down through Oklahoma and Texas. So this is something we haven't seen probably in about 15 years. This is absolutely devastating, and in addition to all the snow, there's going to be extreme cold. So we do have extreme cold warnings for all of Texas and parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, much of Oklahoma. All these areas shaded in blue have an extreme cold warning. Temperatures could even drop below 0 Fahrenheit, guys, in places like Dallas, Fort Worth. They're talking about low temperatures from -1 to 14 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, in the Dallas, Fort Worth area. That is just totally insane for that part of Texas, okay, and wind chill values as low as -10. So this is just totally insane, a crippling blizzard that's affecting the entire country. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on that. I want to just update you guys on the situation in Iran. So Iran's supreme leader has apparently retreated underground already, and he was warned about the likelihood of U.S. airstrikes. This was being reported by multiple sources. So it looks like an attack is imminent. Also, senior Iranian officials told Time magazine that Iran murdered 30,000 innocent protesters in just 2 days on January 8th and January 9th. He said stacks of body bags were exhausted, or stocks of body bags were exhausted, the officials said, and 18-wheel semi-trailers replaced ambulances. Wow. Okay, so that is just totally insane. It reminds me of like the COVID days. All right, so that's not a good sign. And interestingly, yesterday there was this random power outage that struck Greenland's capital. The cause of the power outage is unknown at this time. And flights between Tel Aviv and Germany have been canceled in both directions for this weekend. So that is very serious. Between Israel and Germany, flights being canceled. Also, Air France canceled upcoming flights to Dubai. And the big news is that KLM has unexpectedly canceled all of its flights to Israel for the weekend due to the regional tensions. Okay. So major airlines canceling flights. KLM is a major airline, guys. And then Air France as well. And we're also hearing that British fighter jets were deployed to Qatar at the Al Udeid Air Base at the request of the Qatari government, according to the UK Ministry of Defense. And we're now hearing from open sources that there are at least 80 U.S. Air Force and British Air Force jets and aircraft, fighter jets, in the Middle East, okay? And according to Business Insider, a defense official from the U.S. said that the USS Roosevelt was moved into the Eastern Mediterranean, and the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is currently in the Indian Ocean. So I don't think we're going to strike today or tomorrow just because of this massive blizzard. It wouldn't be smart for Trump to attack Iran in the middle of a nationwide blizzard. But it looks like everything is almost in position. I'm sure that the USS Abraham Lincoln is very close to the Middle East by now. And the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a multi-agency security meeting 2 days ago with the Defense Minister Israel Katz and top security officials. We're also hearing that multiple bombers and transport aircraft were spotted in Diego Garcia, and the U.S. is expected to complete preparations across the Middle East in the coming days for a possible attack against Iran, according to Israeli Channel 12. So Israel's sources are saying that the preparations will come to a conclusion in the coming days. And the Times of Israel has reported that the Israeli military has completed preparations for a potential U.S. strike against Iran. The outlet reports that the deployment of U.S. forces in the Middle East region is expected to be completed within approximately 24 hours, after which an attack against Iran could be launched at any moment. So that was 2 days ago. And Israeli Defense Forces Chief of General Staff Ayil Zamir stated that the military in Israel is ready to act against any enemy that poses a threat to the country. So Israel is already prepared, and Israel's defense establishment has raised its level of alert in recent days amid concerns that President Trump may have decided to strike Iran, possibly within days, with Israeli officials taking seriously the possibility that an attack is imminent, and they're preparing both the home front and military forces for a range of scenarios, according to security officials who spoke to Haaretz. Okay, so the Israeli military is preparing the home front command and the military for a range of scenarios in the coming days. And the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps released a propaganda video warning the United States, showing the locations of U.S. military bases across the Middle East that are within range of Iranian missiles. So that's what Iran threatened to do, is retaliate by striking our bases. And the Turkish president spoke with the Iranian president by phone earlier this weekend and said that Turkey opposes foreign intervention in Iran. And another Russian oil tanker was seized by NATO, the first one being seized by the U.S., and the second one was seized by the French Navy 2 days ago with support from the UK while it was traversing through the Strait of Gibraltar. It left the port of Murmansk in northern Russia and was going to the Suez Canal before being intercepted. So that is pretty serious, guys. Russia's not going to like that. And the Trump administration is actively seeking regime change in Cuba by the end of 2026, emboldened by the recent ouster of Venezuelan President Maduro, with senior officials in the administration searching for Cuban government insiders who could help cut a deal to push out the communist-led government in Cuba by the end of 2026. People familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal. And the Trump administration is reportedly considering a full oil blockade of Cuba to pressure regime change. And Mexico is now reviewing whether to continue sending oil to Cuba after Trump warned that shipments must stop. And Trump announced that the proposed tariffs against Denmark and other countries in Europe meant to go into effect on February 1st will no longer move forward following a meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, in which a framework was formed for a future deal regarding Greenland. So basically, Trump threatened to put a 10 to 25% tariff on all the European countries that deployed their militaries to Greenland, because he got mad that they sent their troops there. And it looks like that's no longer going to happen because he cut some kind of deal in Davos when Trump went to the World Economic Forum meeting there. And the U.S. and Denmark will renegotiate a 1951 defense pact on Greenland, a source familiar with talks between Trump and NATO chief Mark Rutte said to the AFP. So interesting. Looks like we're not going to take over Greenland, but we're renegotiating some kind of defense pact. And Elon Musk recently had some interesting things to say on AI. He said that the rate at which AI is progressing, I think we might have AI that is smarter than any human by the end of the year. He also said that by 2030 or 2031, AI will be smarter than all of humanity collectively. Wow, that's pretty concerning. And the U.S. is weighing a full U.S. troop withdrawal from Syria. And Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff met with Putin in Moscow. I wanted to read to you some of the results from their meeting. So the aide to Putin, Yuri Ushakov, said the talks went on for approximately 4 hours, and they were exceptionally in-depth, constructive, and I should say constituted an extremely frank and heart-to-heart conversation. The topics of the Peace Council, Greenland, and a number of other issues were raised at Putin's meeting with the Americans in the Kremlin. The meeting in the Kremlin was beneficial in every sense, both for Russia and the U.S. Putin stated that without a solution to the territorial issue, it is not worth expecting a long-term settlement in Ukraine. Russia will continue to consistently pursue the objectives of the special military operation as long as a political and diplomatic settlement cannot be achieved. Russia and the U.S. agreed to maintain close contacts on Ukraine and other topics. So very, very interesting. This meeting in Moscow with Kushner, Witkoff, and Putin, and Russia clearly stating that without a solution to the territorial issue, it's not worth expecting a long-term peace agreement. So essentially what they're saying is if Ukraine doesn't surrender those territories to Russia, then Russia's not going to accept it. So Russia wants those territories to be ingrained in international law. They want the U.S. to recognize that those territories are in fact Russian, and that, you know, basically the conquered lands that Putin conquered are legitimate, and the U.S. doesn't want to do that. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I have my 24/7 stream still ongoing. Some of you guys were asking if I quit YouTube. No, I went to Vegas for the SHOT Show, which is a trade show for outdoor gear. So I'm actually still here. I got stuck in the snow, so I'm probably not going to return to my normal routine until sometime in the next couple of days, probably midweek next week, probably Wednesday, Thursday. I'll get back to like a daily live stream schedule okay? But in the meantime, it's going to be more sporadic. But stay warm, stay safe, don't go driving anywhere. Make sure you have all the supplies you need. It's probably too late to go out and get them anyway, but just hunker down, wait for the storm to pass, and everything will be fine. And until the next time, check out my 24/7 live stream, which I have running continuously. I still have it running, and you can get updated from my wonderful moderators who post news throughout the day in the stream. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.